Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Nothing Like a Good Book. And we've got a good one today, too, with a heck of a good message. Appreciate you watching this one. Thank you again for the emails and the letters and, just supporting stuff. Don't forget, though, with YouTube, the support thing and follow and subscribe. That's the word I'm looking for. It all helps, okay? It helps a lot of people involved as well, believe me. This new book today, it holds a crucial discussion about gun safety for kids. There's no doubt about it. This book will save lives. And I'm glad he's on the show. More than half of households in the United States owning firearms. Avoiding the topic doesn't make children safer, but education does. Now, David Hayes is going to be my guest. David Hayes Cox, actually. The new book is called This Is a Gun, is a calm, aged, appropriate introduction to firearms safety for young children and the adults who care for them, because that's pretty important. There's a dual thing there. David is a certified firearms instructor and a dad, and his goal is to help families talk openly and clearly about what a gun is, why it can be dangerous, and what children should do if they ever encounter one, because often they don't. It's sad. Look, this is a gun. It's an excellent age-appropriate resource for parents and caregivers who want to teach about gun safety in a calm, clear, and responsible way. And that's the first of many. Chris Gordani, Media Fellow, Project Sentinel, host of the Book Spectrum, a producer, Central Circle, and so on and so on. We've got more to go later. But without further ado, let's have our guest on, shall we? Because, it's nice to introduce people who you're going to be interviewing, isn't it? And this is the fellow. David, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me on.
It's really good. Well, this particular book, I'm going to go straight to this because we've got a lot get off. We've got a lot to cover. This is what I want to do. You're the author, a certified firearms safety instructor, okay, with over 20 years of experience and training. You're a father of two and passionate advocate for children's safety. And you wrote This Is a Gun to help families talk openly and responsibly about firearms. David holds a Bachelor of Science degree from Northeastern University and lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, which I believe is a beautiful place to live, with his wife and children. And through his work, he blends a deep respect for gun ownership with a heartfelt commitment to protecting kids through honest conversation. And as I'm going to show you some slides, folks, we go through this particular episode, Joe Ruiz is the illustrator of some beautiful stuff. Good job, Joe. We just wanted to give you a little bit of a shout out there, okay? This is a gun. It's a safety guide for families and children. How did you come up with a name like this for this book?
This name came as I was developing the information that was going to be presented in this book. And the whole time that I built this book, I was continuing to keep in my head my own children and the conversations that I wanted to have with my own kids about firearms safety. And it all comes back to how to identify a gun, what is a gun, and why is it dangerous? So I wanted to be very direct about this. I didn't want to beat around the bush. And I knew that the moment I had to sit down with my children, the first words out of my mouth would be, "This is a gun." And so I wanted to
literally holding a gun and showing it to them.
Well, I don't think I would ever directly hold a real firearm in front of my children for the first time, but okay. I would show them images, at least for their first couple of encounters, until I trusted that it was a safe environment to bring an unloaded firearm into the conversation. But
smart.
I would be presenting them with images, and I would say to them, "Children, this is a gun, and we need to talk about this now."
Okay. Very interesting. Very, very logical. Very sound. All people should do that, right? I mean, some dads are just trying to do the right thing. Got the real weapon there, trying to show, and it's not really the way to do it. You also have a website.
Apologize if...
There's additional safety information that parents can find there. A lot of stuff onto the site. Okay. And I'm going to show this here now, right, as well. So if you'd like to explain, perhaps as we go through this, I mean, what's the real reason you wrote the book? Obviously, you're, a father and you've got your own kids. What's the reason behind it all?
Yeah. So the main reason is because there's a gap in the gun safety education in this country. We talk a lot about gun storage, which is extremely important. I don't want to take anything away from the gun storage conversations that need to happen for firearms owners. Every firearms owner needs to have a safety plan in place if they own a firearm, and that has to include storage, locked storage. But there is another level if you're a parent where you have children, and your children are going to be out in the world away from you eventually when they get old enough to play on their own and unsupervised with friends. So when your child is beginning to develop the confidence to go out into the world and to explore, you need to be able to arm them with all of the safety information that they need. And we do this already with almost everything else. We teach them to look both ways before they cross the street. We teach them how to ride a bike, and we teach them that stoves are hot and to not touch the chemicals under the sink, and a lot of other important safety information. But because guns are such a contentious topic in this country, and there's a large segment of the American population that doesn't support guns, and I'm not here to argue which way you sit on the gun debate.
That's right. You don't have to be non-political about it all. This is just a straight, common sense, save lives deal.
Exactly. And the thing is that the fact is that there are between 400 to 500 million guns in civilian hands in America.
Unbelievable.
And whether
the stuff online, you've got to make them out of that print thing now they can do as well. Why is locking up your guns not enough to keep kids safe?
Well, that's just it, which is that because there are so many guns in this country, we can't know where all of those guns are located in our communities. If all guns were locked in a safe, absolutely, that would be enough to keep our children safe.
Right.
Guns in safes that can't be accessed by children keeps them safe. The problem is that we are only in control of our own lives. And we can all be responsible gun owners if we are gun owners.
Right.
And we can lock up our own firearms and make sure that we have a safe environment for our children in our own homes. But we aren't in control of our families. We're not that are outside of our homes. We're not in control of our friends. We're not in control of any other spaces, whether that be a playground or maybe the woods. That's behind your school. We're not in control of all of these spaces, and because of the amount of guns in this country, we need to educate our children about how to identify what a firearm actually looks like,
right,
and what to do,
how to react.
Exactly. Yeah. How to react.
You know what I mean? And what you're trying to do is with this book, right? A safety guide it is for families with children. Let's take an example. Okay, so there's the name of the book. This is a gun. Now, give us an example, because what I was saying is you're using simple language, right? Gentle illustrations, and the book reinforces actually a small number of clear safety rules that children can remember and parents can build on, which is a good thing. So you would sit down. Remember we first talked about no live gun in front of your children. You'd sit down and you could use this book with the illustrations, correct?
That's exactly right. This book is meant to open up a dialogue between the parents and their children, whether they're gun owners or non-gun owners.
Right.
This is a conversation starter because it's such a hard topic for parents to know where to begin.
Right.
This book starts that conversation and gives the parents 3 clear instructions to teach their children. And the best age for this book is between kindergarten and 5th grade is really when to cement this book into your children.
Kindergarten and 5th grade.
Yeah, between elementary school is the ideal time to start this as early as possible. Okay. You don't want to touch the gun. You want to run away from it, and you want to tell an adult if you ever see one. Those three simple commands a child can copy and they can understand. Exactly.
Well, this is it. It's masterfully written and illustrated because my friend Grady Harp at Amazon, the top 100 Hall of Fame reviewer, he gave you 5 stars. The book is a must read for all families with children, the pinnacle for addressing and assuring gun safety. So, in addition to, practical advice and gun identification, you aim to hammer home those three key points. All right. So we don't touch the gun. We run away from it, tell an adult about it. Now, you believe that these are easy for young children to remember. Okay. What is the promise about?
The promise at the end of the book is so that children can take ownership of this commitment. It just gives them an opportunity to write their name, on this page, so that they can have, a more tangible commitment than just saying, yeah, I know it. Well, I wrote my name here. I signed this pledge that I'm going to be safe about guns. And it's just another added tool to help children remember the 3 steps and to commit to those steps, for the parents or the educators that are sharing this book with them.
So is this the sort of thing you could make it big of at home, like putting stars on a fridge?
Absolutely. This is, like I said, a conversation starter for parents, and they should build off of this book in the way that they think is going to best serve their own children, because you know your own kids better than anybody else. And you really want to pay attention to how your child responds to this topic and how best they're going to remember to be safe.
Well, I'd like to share this review for you from Scott Reitz and Brett McQueen. They're co-authors of The Art of Modern Gunfighting, co-founders of the International Tactical Training Seminars. And I'm a great believer on my show to be able to give you reviews. If you've got them, you deserve them. So, empowering families with knowledge and responsible guidance is one of the most effective ways to prevent tragedy. This book offers a constructive approach to educating children about safety in a calm and age-appropriate way. What say you, David? Pretty good?
Yes, I was very grateful.
What is your background in gun safety?
Well,
when it all boils down, what gives you the right to do this?
I've been training with firearms for about 20 years, and that pursuit, that hobby, made me more interested in getting involved with the community. I became an NRA certified firearms instructor and home safety trainer, and a range safety officer as well. I've also carried permits in multiple states for concealed carry, so I'm familiar with the process and for the protocols to be safe and understand how to carry a firearm in a safe manner. Right. That's a heck of a background, isn't it? Huh? I tell you what, there's many other men and women out there that have firearms as part of their daily lives. I'm just a member of the community, and I have a deep respect for all of the people that have far greater experience than myself.
This one, when I went through stuff and research and what have you, you hear of so many stories, David, that are so sad. Classic example. This picture tells me what? Well, it's different. It's going to be different for everybody, but I think to me it stands out as one big message.
Yes,
what would be that one?
You're referring to the image of the image of the child trying to show his friend a firearm that's in a drawer.
Come up, Dad's not home. Let me show you something.
Exactly.
Is that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, we're trying to address that peer pressure. We want to give the children as many scenarios where they might come across a gun as possible. And we have 3 scenarios in the book to build off of. And we include, peer pressure in 2 of those scenarios, because that is going to be the greatest challenge for your child. It's a lot simpler if your child stumbles across a firearm on their own and you've done a good job of educating them on the dangers of firearms and what they should do.
Right.
Then you have a really good chance that they're going to make the right choice. But when peer pressure comes into the picture, it's a whole nother story. And so it's really important that we give our children permission to say no to their friends. It's not something they'll do on their own. It's something that really we need to give them permission to do. And so that they have the courage to say to their friends, no, I don't want to see this.
Right.
And I'm going to actually leave the room and go find an adult.
Right. Well, there we go. He did, or she did, shoot out and find mom in the garden and so on. I use that one because it's so sweet, but it's that simple, isn't it?
That's right. It's really simple. Children need to understand that this is not about anybody getting in any trouble. This is just about keeping you safe and doing what's best to keep you safe.
Out of left field, what are the numbers of accidental children death in America now through guns?
So, because of the way that we track in the United States, there's several different resources, but we can say that it's somewhere between several hundred to over 1,000 accidental deaths and severe injuries to children every year because a firearm was either unlocked or stored improperly. And these are all preventable. All of these accidents should be prevented because all of these children should have known ahead of time, that they were about to step into a situation that was extremely dangerous. And unfortunately,
and they didn't know. They
didn't know. They just didn't.
And that's where your book comes in, because if you sit down with them and do, shot by shot by shot, an explanation and how and why, because children are always why.
That's right.
No, not now. You can't have that. Why not? Why? Ah, dear, oh dear, oh dear. Why did you make the decision to include, let me go back to this one. In the book itself, you used life-size models.
That's correct.
Why did you decide to do that?
Well, when I set out to write this book and I was able to speak with my own kids and with other children that I was able to have permission to work with, one of the most shocking things that I discovered was that children's idea of young children, we're talking elementary school here,
right.
Young children's idea of what a real gun looks like is very animated, because all they've seen in their lives, if they have never seen a real gun in their house, they have this picture in their heads it's a mix of TV, video games, comic books, squirt guns, Nerf guns. They have all of this in their heads built up as to what a real gun might look like. And when I started showing them images of life-size guns,
right,
their instinct was that these are toys, not because of how they looked, but because of how small they were. They couldn't believe that real guns were that small. And so that's why I knew I had to put life-size images of real, actual firearms in this book and on the cover, because that might be the most important lesson there is in this entire book, is that guns can be really small, and children need to know this, because even if your child knows that guns are dangerous, even if you've done a good job of educating them and they are responsible, even if they know all of this, if they haven't actually seen images of life-size firearms to have just some kind of reference point in their heads, they might look at, if they ever come into contact with a real firearm, even if they know that they're dangerous, they might look at it and say, well, this one's not real, so I don't have to worry about it because it's so small. And I don't ever want that to happen. Right.
Makes a lot of sense. Makes me think, what comes to mind? You mentioned something before about how the guns aren't put back safely, safety lock isn't on. And I guess a lot of accidents happen through just forgetting to do that.
Yes.
Just one of those things. Okay. We've gone through some illustrations and we're still doing that. Go tell somebody. I know what I wanted to talk about was David Germain, I think it was. Yeah, David Germain. He's a professor of sociology at Wake Forest University, and he's the author of Gun Curious. Quote, guns are a factor of American life, and that makes gun safety a parental responsibility, not a political position. An adult is responsible for any time a child gains access to an unsecured firearm. And this is a gun gives parents a simple, honest tool for meeting that responsibility before curiosity becomes tragedy. David Germain. It seems to me, David, that every parent owes their child this conversation, whether or not they own a gun.
That's absolutely right.
To be honest with you, you know?
That's absolutely right.
What should they do? Buy the book.
They can buy the book to help them guide this conversation. It's so important whether you own a gun or not. You have to understand that between 40 and 52% of American families own firearms, which means that if your child is in a classroom with 29 other students, that possibly 10 to 15 of those children have homes that contain firearms. And I'm not saying that any of those people aren't doing the right thing and not securing their firearms correctly, but you just have to understand that you are not in control of all of the different families that you send your kid over to play at their houses at.
Exactly.
And you need to go beyond just hope. We can't keep the word gun out of our mouths around our kids. And that seems to be the norm, especially for non-gun owning families. They don't like the word gun. They don't want it uttered in their houses. They don't want gun-shaped toys of any kind. And I respect that because I understand where they're coming from. But at the same time, because of the statistics of the state of the United States, of the quantity of firearms in the United States, and of the gun-owning families in the United States, for better or for worse, you have to educate your child, just like you did about electrical outlets. You didn't ignore those. They're all over your house. You didn't ignore teaching them about not sticking things in your electrical sockets, right? You didn't teach them. You didn't ignore them.
I know, but yes, you've probably got to tell them that because they do it.
Imagine, I like to tell parents that are skeptical, I like to say to them, imagine you are a family that doesn't believe in stoves. Like your family doesn't own a stove. You don't believe in stoves.
Right.
You don't have one in your house and you don't believe in them. And so you never utter the word stove to your child and you don't tell them what one is.
Right.
And then you send them off to a friend's house to play. And the kid walks in the kitchen and the first thing he sees is a stove with the red hot eye turned on the top of it.
Yeah.
What do you think your child's going to do in that moment if they've never heard the word stove before?
Yeah.
They're going to look at that red hot eye and they're going to go, wow, what is this? That looks interesting. Should I touch it?
Yes.
That's exactly what your child's going to do. And it's the same exact thing with firearms. We want
the gun is, there's no doubt about it, it's important. There are those that could say, of course, well, yeah, I don't want to overprotect my kids. I don't want them fearful of them. It's not about that. It's just about spending a little more time in communication, and you love them that much. What's an extra bit of time to be able to sit down, do it properly, and stop some of these shocking, accidental, deaths and funerals and upsetness and sadness in the family. You've got to live with it for the rest of your life.
Hundreds of families' lives are turned upside down every year.
Yeah, and absolutely.
We can prevent it if we just educate our children what to do.
Folks, June coming up is gun safety month. So, really now is the perfect time for a crucial firearms education, whether it's taught in schools, daycare, or just amongst your family. Speaking of that, daycare, schools, what have you, what are you doing to promote? Who are you going to promote the book in the way of organizations that can support this?
We're reaching out to everybody, and we're getting so much positive feedback. We're really excited. Working with different police outreach programs that speak with school districts directly, reaching out to organizations like the National Shooting Sports Foundation and Project Child Safe.
Right.
We're reaching out to gun stores and ranges across the country, and already we're distributed in a lot of gun stores and ranges, and that number is growing every single day. The goal is to be in every single gun store and range, any range, any training facility in the country. The goal
literally
is to
everywhere
have the
you
book.
can. There's tons of places then, right, that the books can be bought and have there on the shelves. Handouts. I think it'll be might be a lovely handout to somebody.
Absolutely. We're hoping to, get to fully fledged nonprofit status within a year and be able to start donating large bulk orders of books to underserved communities, to libraries across the country.
That's a great idea.
This is all part of our goals.
Okay, so you're going to be going, yeah, right, okay, your .org. But by the way, see folks down there, this is a gun.org. That's the actual website you can go to. There's a lot of stuff on there, right, Dave?
That's right. Besides the book, there's a lot of other parent resources and education for parents that are either parents in the shooting sports hobby or non-gun owning parents as well.
Right. This is a gun. Really, it avoids political or biased debates instead of focusing. It focuses objectively on personal safety, respecting boundaries. That's the key to this thing, right? Because I can hear some people now, and reducing the risk of accidental injury. The target, as we talked about, was 4 to 10 grades, K5, parents, caregivers, educators who want a practical, thoughtful approach to early safety education. As if this country doesn't have enough, disasters. And then the guns on top of that, and then other shootings, and then this, and then that. You've, at least with the little ones coming through today, from today on, even now, those that are in that age grade who still don't know anything. This is the perfect book to be able to sit down with them, go through the illustrations of what David was talking about. I guess it's on Amazon, of course. Where else? Right. Anywhere else? Amazon mainly.
Amazon, barnesandnoble.com.
Okay.
Pretty much anywhere books are sold online, it's available. Okay.
And it's not a lot of dough. I think I put it up before. I missed one out, of course. Well, I went straight for the throat. $24.95. If money's tight, that's understandable. You can do the ebook for $1.99. That's less than a coffee at that expensive joint. You know what I'm talking about?
We also have a paperback book for $17.95 as well.
Of course. I wanted you to mention that. Paperback $17.99 and the big one here at $24. That nice hardcover, $24.95. All right. But I want you to go to the website and you can also, did I write down your email? I didn't. Do you want me to do that? You don't want to be contacted? It's best to go through, I think, your website. They can contact
there's an email.
you.
That's right. Oh, there's an email on the website, info@thisisagun.org. We welcome anybody to reach out with questions.
Right.
We're happy to answer.
Okay, Mark, but what was his name again? Well, it's David Cox. Okay, David Cox. And he's a very open, friendly guy. You can email him through the site, talk to him. If you've got any ideas maybe to help the organization, the cause, there's all sorts of things. David Cox, but you email, go to the site. I'm a great believer having a nice website from a point of view of you could sit down, I always say this, but you could sit down with a cup of joe and your podgies, your pajamas, anytime you want and read stuff and check a company out. That's the biggest thing I really try to push because I'm up to here with scams. Trust me, up to here with it. Having been personally scammed a few times, I'm not dumb. They're just so clever. And the reality is you've got to be careful. And also selling guns online. Kids today are online, up in their rooms. Do you know what they're doing? Ah, dear, oh dear, oh dear. David, I want to ask you, is there anything you'd like to round this interview off with,
I just want to continue to spread this safety awareness and just ask all parents, whether you're gun-owning parents or non-gun-owning parents, to really consider the data, consider having this conversation with your children, just to really, make sure that if they ever come across a gun, they know what to do. Don't leave it up to their developing minds to make the decision for themselves. Give them the resources. Go to the website, thisisagun.org. If you need more help with that, you can learn. There's lots of statistics and there's lots of evidence on the website to really hit home this idea that education in itself, it's the best way to keep our kids safe. And we know that about any other category of safety concern. So why wouldn't it also apply to firearms as well?
Thisisagun.org, not the .com. .org, right? O-R-G.
That's correct. Yes.
HTTPS, this is a gun. I used to go www, but there's no www in there. You don't need it sometimes. Thisisagun.org. Well, David, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Mark Bishop Media would love to help you in reference to the cause, okay?
Well, I really appreciate that. And thank you very much for having me on.
You're most welcome, my friend. And I wish you well. And, I think this is a terrific thing because it's what it does in a calm and a kind way. How to educate their little brains, nicely and thingo. And, it's terrific. So good luck, all right? You take care of that. I really
appreciate that. Thank you so much.
That's a game, isn't it? Who cares? Nothing like a good book. What do we do? Well, we like to dedicate the show to authors. There's plenty of you across America. Gee, there's a lot around the globe as well. But I can't speak languages. Maybe a little bit of Islam. Then again, there's AI these days, isn't there? Oh, they've even got shows like this, or not like this, but they've got shows with AI doing the voices, and AI hosting them, and God knows what. Heavens above, let's not go there. Anyway, discover your book, promote your book, and sell your book. That would be a nice thing. Don't leave them sitting in the garage. You'll attract rats, trust me. Nothinglikeagoodbook.com. Go to the site, mess around, have a look at the reviews, have a look at where you can win a nice little gift, and have a look at the authors on there. They've written beautiful books. People I've interviewed over the last, 6 months, I think, 7 months. And they're all up there. They go across, and the reviews are there as well. And there's also the Wheel of Growth. Have a look at the Wheel of Growth. There might be something there that you can say, maybe I could get that done and help me a little, and let's find out a little more about it because, I'm there to help you. All right. So thanks for being on, again, support the show, hit the channel thing, and you be kind to each other, won't you? Because that's very important in this day and age, I would think.